Okay, fifth grade. Here we are on the second portion of 1 point perspective cityscape. I'm going to review a little bit. On our sidewalk, we had horizontal lines here for our sidewalk. These go the same direction as the bottom of your paper. As they get further back, they should get a little smaller. And so on. The front part of the sidewalk that comes away from you goes to your vanishing point. Notice that I'm lining this up with a vanishing point before I draw my line. And there we have it. Also, to create that extra illusion of depth, we're going to make vertical lines. Notice how these lines go the same side, same direction as the side of your paper, or they're level with the other lines going vertical. Okay, and then that brings us over to the doors. We did some doors last week. First, we determined the height of all of the doors. And if you want a measurement for that, that's about 1.5 inches. Then a light line is drawn back. Okay. Then you go ahead and make sure that these vertical lines are parallel. And we're going to draw lines up and down there. And then on this side of the building, notice that I just go to the top of that line that recedes back to the vanishing point. And as they get back further, they should be narrower also. Then I just go ahead and draw my line on top of the doors. Then I can erase that guideline that was created for the top of the doors. Okay, now I know I had some sidewalk over here made, or you did, and that's good. So we're going to move on to the windows. And if you move over here, I'll zoom in a little bit on this. Okay. What I do, and what you should do, is put your ruler. If you notice, it's about 1/4 of an inch away from the edge, and it's parallel. And I'm going to lightly draw a line down. And then without moving my ruler, I'm going to draw another line up. Now, if you did the correct measurements here, which was 3 inches, you should have plenty of room to make 2 of these. So here's another 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to draw my line up and down on that side of the ruler and that side of the ruler. Now, I know I'm going fast with this, but you can pause the video and draw as time you need to get caught up. So here we're going to go to the top of the building, and we're going to make these windows. The top of the window goes on the top of our ruler. Notice I jumped that space there. That's so I don't have to erase later on. I'm going to go to the bottom of my ruler, and there we have 2 windows. And then we make a space again, and we draw our window. Okay, now while you're drawing that in, if you leave your ruler here, you can erase this line, which is the bottom of the other window and the top of the next set. And the ruler is protecting your lines from being erased below it. So I'm going to do the same thing down here. And one of the mistakes kids will make is they'll line up their ruler with the bottom of this next window, and we don't want to do that. We need a space, so we're going to make a space. I'm going to draw my line, okay, and you repeat this process until you have the desired amount of windows. So again, I repeat, drawing my lines on the top and the bottom. Very important that you're keeping your ruler parallel to the horizon line, which means it's going the same direction as the horizon line or the top and bottom of the paper. If you're drawing your lines and your ruler looks like this, then it's not parallel. Okay, so I have enough windows here. Do erasing. If you're drawing light, that should make it easy. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to do an all glass building. It's right over on this building that we drew out the previous week. I'm going to start out by making vertical lines that are parallel to all of the other vertical lines. All right, you don't want to go crooked. And then you're going to do the same parallel lines here. This is for an all glass building. And I can get 3 in here. Maybe you can only get 2. Notice as they get further back, they get smaller. They get closer together. Okay, now I'm going to go and I'm going to separate these windows. This is the corner of the building, and I'm going to darken this in. You don't have to darken it in. I'm just going to darken it in so you can see that corner a little better. And I'm just going to divide these up. Maybe I'll divide them up evenly. I'm just going to 1.5 centimeters here, just because I had it on the centimeter side. I'm going to go back up to the top. This is the building part that is facing us. Okay, so I'm going to draw my lines parallel, horizontal. All the horizontals are parallel to the horizon line. And then from here, this building is facing the street, so part of the building is going away from us. So we're going to take this corner and we're going to go to this vanishing point. And if you just keep your pencil here and move your ruler, it makes it a lot easier. So I just pivot and draw my line. Pivot. And as you'll see, as the ruler goes down the building, it starts to change direction, and that's what helps us with that illusion of perspective. All right, if you want to put one down there, you can, but I usually leave these for doors. Okay. All right, that's about it with the windows. So we're going to move on to other optional ideas. This is the horizon line in the back. Make sure that when you're coloring this in, that anything above this line, unless it's mountains, so I could make some hills here, and then I could make, some rocky mountains if you were interested with a little snow top on top. Anything above this line is in the sky, so that should be blue. Anything below it is green or brown or whatever type of ground you want to have. I'm going to move into this here, and you could put a tree back here that's real small if that's something you'd like to do, or anything else. So I'm just going to put like a little tree right there. And I might put another tree right here too. Okay. And then if I wanted to put one further away, closer to the horizon line, I could, and that will help create more depth. Okay, so that's something that you could do also. Think about the clouds that you do. When you make your clouds, if they're close to the horizon line, they're smaller because they're further away. So if I made a cloud, all right, they're really small here, and if you have one behind the mountain, it will even create more depth because you have overlapping. So here's another one of these clouds, and as you get up away from it, the clouds get a little larger. Okay, you could put the sun behind the mountains. You could put some, little birds back there in the sky flying. Avoid cars and humans because you have to know how to do perspective in that, and that's very difficult to do. At this point. So what I'd like you to do is you can use this technique or this technique to create more windows. You can also put signs up. So I'm going to zoom back out again. Okay, and I'm going to move over and I'm going to make a sign on this on here. So if you have the name of a store or something like that, you could, this could be the art store, and you don't want to just write it in. You want to make it look, like there's some kind of design to it. So I'm going to write mine in like a bubble letter style. All right. You could put some designs on there, put a brush on there or whatever. Maybe if it was a pizza place, you could put a giant pizza there, or you just get creative with what you want. So you can make more windows over here also. You can change up the windows. They could be a little longer if you wanted to. So I could, or you could, you don't have to do these. These are just some extras that you can add. I could make a longer window. I could even put an arch at the top and an arch at the top here. And then I can erase those top lines. And maybe down here. I could do another set just like that. I always use guidelines to help things look a little more symmetrical. And then I erase. And so on. And that's your choice, what you want to do. If you turn your paper over on the back, I'm going to show you how to do some little fun extras. If you'd like to put on flags or a satellite on top of a building, you could do that. So what I'm going to do is you can turn your paper over with me, and then I'll zoom in so you can kind of see this really nice. If you take a look, this is we're going to do a flag, so you could use your ruler to make this flag post just before. So I want to do it a little faster here, so I'm going to just use freehand. But I would like you to make a piece, like a puzzle piece, a line, just like so. Okay, and do the best you can. If it's off a little bit, no big deal. Then you're going to go right to this edge right here and just pull that line down. Okay, then I'm going to do the same thing with these lines. I'm going to pull these lines down, and then I'm going to connect these lines like so. Then I'm going to add some lines here, and I can make it a little wavy. And then you've created a flag that's blowing in the wind, and those are always fun to make. The next one is going to be a satellite, and I start out with a sideways oval, kind of nice and tight with the oval. You don't want it too big. And then I'm going to cup this by just adding this curving line, just like that. And then I'm going to put this other cup-like shape, and that's kind of for the satellite to rotate. Then I could take my ruler, and you have a couple options. If this were on top of a building, you would come down, okay? And because this is a round object, on the bottom, you're going to have this rounded also, because when a round object goes into a flat object or any other object, it's going to have this curve to it. Now, if it were on the side of a building, you could put the satellite on the side, and you'd use the same technique. This would be rounded, okay? Another thing that helps this look like a satellite would be these contour lines that represent the sheets of metal that have been riveted together, and you can even make the rivets if you want to show, and that makes a little more detail, and you can create a little bit better illusion of a satellite. I also have this little pointer thing here, okay, and there you have it. And you can add those to your projects, and just for personal preference. So I'm going to turn over back on the back side again here, and we're going to take a little closer look at some other options you can do. This is kind of your city now, so you can do whatever you want to make it work for you. Don't forget, these buildings need some items also. You don't have to do this, but if you wanted to put some more windows back here, you could put some smaller ones. Okay, if you understand the concept here now of what we did over here, these are just smaller, and I might just use the same length window. All right, as the width of my ruler. Okay, so there's some windows right there, and oh, I almost forgot the lines that go down the middle of the road, and these are really fun to do. And they're pretty easy too. So what I'm going to do, see if I can zoom in a little bit on it too, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw a line out, and then I'm going to draw another little line, and keep it thin, you don't want them too thick. And now we're going to break that up. So I'm going to come up a little bit, I'm going to make a horizontal line, I'm going to come up a small space, erase it. Alright, again, I'm leaving my ruler there as a blockade for my eraser so it doesn't erase that line. I'm going to come up a little bit more, and I'm going to come up a little bit more, and I'm just going to keep separating these. And as they get further back, not only do they get narrower, but they'll get shorter. And you can just kind of eyeball how short you want them to go. As they get back here, they're going to get pretty small. And there you go. And that's a nice addition. Somebody asked me a little bit earlier about like a gutter. Can I put a gutter on? Absolutely, you can put a gutter on. We'll zoom in on this, and here's how you could do a gutter. There's more than one way to do it, of course, but I'll just show you my way of doing it. I'll do a vertical line here, another vertical line here, and then this top line that goes back. Anything that goes back goes towards the vanishing point, so it's going to go back towards the vanishing point. All right. Now the bottom part of the gutter is going to be horizontal, horizontal, and go back to the vanishing point. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make these little arching shapes like so, and then I'm going to make them go sideways like this. You want them long and narrow to create that illusion of a gutter. And then if you shade those in black or whatever, it will work out well. Some people want to do a manhole. You could do a manhole. It's just an oval here, and you put some little holes in here. Okay. And that's about it. You can keep drawing more. You have to put some more doors and some windows on and fill it up and make it look interesting. Let's take a look at these windows over here in this building because I want to show you how to color these in. You work really hard on making this look three-dimensional using your pencil. Now we want to add even more to it by creating a shade. And what we want to do, and just for a rule of thumb on this one, we'll have a light source coming down the center of the street. So this building on the side here should be colored in light. And you can color in any color you want. I'm just picking this violet color for a building, and I'm going pretty light. And I'm using my ruler. It's very important that you have a straight edge when you're shading because we call this hard edge shading. And when you have a hard edge shade, which is a light next to a dark, that happens quickly, you're going to have the illusion of a line there. And really buildings, they appear to have lines, but really they're just changes in light and darkness. If you could get rid of all of these lines and put light and dark instead next to each other, it would look pretty amazing. I'm trying to color this in with a consistent color. I'm not going to do the whole thing just because we don't have time. But that would be the consistency you'd want to go all the way down. Now on the side here, in the front, there's less light, so the color is going to be the darker, or it could be even shaded down a little bit with some black, but we'll get into that in a minute. And I'm going to go over this corner with, and this is really the same corner, really dark. And I'm using my ruler because if you just freehand draw it, it's not going to have the same effect. And I'm going to go in here and I'm going to color this in. So this whole entire front panel side of the building is going to have this difference between the dark and the light. And if you have straight edges, you need to use your ruler to help you shade. Very important. Kids that don't use their rulers to shade, the perspective effect is lost. Okay, so definitely use your ruler to shade. Keep that ruler there to protect your pencil from going out of bounds. Okay, hopefully you guys can still see this good. Go. All right, so you'll color the entire paper in that area like that, and you'll do the same for these buildings and this building too. And the question is, how do I do an all-glass building? And I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to pick out a red, and when you have an all-glass building, you have a reflection. So that's important to put on there. What I would suggest you do is outline. You could do it with a black, or you could do it with the same color that you're coloring it in with, the lines. So you'll see those panels that are separated. Okay, and you can continue to go down and down, and then over. The same thing. And over again. Okay, I have to stop because the phone's ringing.